might make a new friend.
What's up, good people? How y'all doing? It is now time for the Four Black Guys Show. Everybody put your fours up, please. Show your love. Put a four up. Show that you're standing with us. It's going to be a hot one on tonight. We're going to get some letters from the letters tonight, maybe. We're going to get some letters from the letters tonight, man. Hope everybody had a great, this man done cut off his camera.
Yo, y'all go ahead. I got to try to fix my volume because I can't hear.
Oh, jeez. What's up, McLeonard? How you doing, sir? Good to see you. Good to see you, Doc. What's going on, Mike? McLeonard. I hope y'all had a wonderful weekend, man. I hope you guys had a great week. I know it has been busy for myself, man. I tell you what, I'm just gonna start off, guys, with me today because I just want to go ahead and get it off. The Overflow had a gig this weekend, and let me tell you something. Just preparing for this gig was stressful. I mean, it was dude, this right here, all this right up in here, I need a massage, man. Tony, you know a masseuse, man. I know a
masseuse. Tanya Myers.
I don't need any kind of masseuse you might bring up, dude.
What did I just say? Tanya Myers.
But I mean, all this hurt from trying to Mario knows this gig. We had it easier probably with what's his name? Byron Cage. Preparing for that gig than doing this gig. I mean, it was stressful. I mean, you know what?
Well, Steve, in all fairness, we were much younger.
True, and our mental capacity was wider and longer. We could deal with it.
What, Jasper?
Okay. I think something's been going on with the kids. Hey, Ma, what's going on, Jay? How y'all doing? Welcome to the show. As y'all can tell by the title, it's gonna be something tonight. But we got through the gig, though. We got through the gig, didn't we, Mario? We got through the gig.
Yes,
it was a blessed time, man. We rocked it out. We did what we could, and it was a great show on last night, and then of course church this morning. And so my little, as Mario called, what'd you call my fingers? Twinkly? What'd you call?
Oh, yours?
Yeah, what'd you call my fingers?
I don't know. What
you don't know? My twinkly fingers or some whatever you call them. But anyway, my hands are a little tight tonight, but we are getting through it. Amen. So how was your week, Lovejoy? Lovejoy, you muted, bro. If you're getting ready to talk. You can't hear us?
We are having technical difficulties this evening, Doc.
I mean, tonight we are having some
tonight
on this night. Mario, go ahead, tell us about your week, son.
Tonight. Whoa. Ain't that a Phil Collins song?
That's Phil Collins. That's right. See, that's why you my friend, man. If you didn't get the name right, I was gonna get after you though, for real though.
Hey, but I was a Phil Collins fan. Genesis.
Yes, sir.
You can't tell me nothing.
Lovejoy, can you hear now?
Man, I could do it like this.
Yes. You in there. We can hear you. James, you good over there?
No, but we're going to make it work.
That's because you got Android. That's why.
And I have an iPhone 12 Max Pro, sir.
Bam in your
that be
face.
the problem? Well, look, that be the problem because Erica's having problems out of her 12. I think it's that whole 5G thing. It's the devil.
I'm having problems out of my 12 too.
It's that whole 5G.
And
They're
how
gonna
much
throw
did y'all
them
spend on
12s
this
away.
phone?
Huh?
How much did you spend on this phone?
Yeah, here we go.
Oh, $1,000 easy.
$1,000 for a phone that you can't hear out of.
It's the platform. That's why I always wait.
I love my Samsung.
Hold on. I love my 10R, my
10R.
XR, which is the 10R. I usually wait a few generations before I dive off into the next phone. I let them work the kinks out.
I didn't see it, Mike. I didn't see it, man. If you send it this week, Doc, I'm telling you, I'll have blinders on this week, bro. Did he send you something?
Yeah, I don't know, but I don't know if I saw it, Mike. Did I join it? But Androids are awesome, of course. Oh, of course. Look at another Android. So
I love my Samsung. Anyway, Mario, how was your week, man?
Man, week was a short week.
Whoa.
Somebody got a lot of feedback there.
That's little Joe.
Yeah, week was good. Check 1, 2.
Go ahead. We're just gonna go with this.
All right.
Okay. Week was good. Week was good, man.
Mac Bell says he loves his Samsung. Go ahead.
Whatever, man. Don't interrupt me. I'm talking about how great my week was. But like you said, Steve, preparing for this gig has been an experience because this was our second gig coming back really from the whole COVID.
From COVID, thing. Right.
Yeah. And the first gig y'all did, I wasn't with y'all. I went to Mississippi for a gig a few weekends ago. Yeah. And shout out to Ken Featherstone.
Mayor Featherstone.
Mayor Featherstone. Now, Ken, if you don't know who Ken Featherstone is, he well, I don't know if he's overflow manager anymore, but he was our manager for a couple of years there. And he is now the mayor of Indianola, Mississippi.
Yes.
And shout out to him. Overflow went down and played an event for him. We'll be going back to play another event for him. I do believe it's inauguration. But Indianola, Mississippi, Ken Featherstone, congratulations, brother.
Yes,
but
sir.
That was y'all's first gig back since COVID. And so last night was my first gig back with y'all. And like I said, I can tell the difference. I have COVID fingers and all of that, man. Like I was saying, you try to reach for a lick and your fingers right.
What's that?
Hey, what's that? And you're hearing all this stuff in your head, but your fingers are like, no, we ain't did that in about 1.5 years, 2 years. No, player, we ain't no. What you think? So you have to work your way back up to that point,
All right, Jay. We'll let you know, Doc.
Okay. Yeah, man, we'll do. Definitely. And so Jay will travel now. But yeah, man, but like I said, good weekend. We did our thing on the gig, man.
We rocked the house, man. We did
rocked the house, did our thing. It was good coming back. We played some songs we hadn't played in what, 2 years? A year? 2 years?
But man, we ain't played that song in forever, dude. We don't even have that in our set list anymore.
It sure don't. Hey, came back and played it like we was like, is that change on B flat? Everybody was looking at yeah, I think B. Yeah, B. So
and
yeah, man.
That's O Positive. That's one of the first songs on the CD.
That's song 1 on our very first CD. We had not played that song in so long. Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, man, good weekend. What about you, James Fred?
If you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear y'all barely, man. But it was a good weekend, man. Nothing major. Normal type stuff. I got a puppy. I went and got myself a puppy.
What?
Yeah, I got a puppy to go along with the cat.
I was gonna ask you, did you get rid of the cat?
No,
You kept the cat.
No. They get along just fine.
Okay. For now.
So that was the excitement of my weekend.
So, but why did you get a puppy, may I ask?
Why?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just because.
Good luck with that. I will tell you that
hey man, you wake up one day and say, "Hey, I want a puppy."
Never done that a day
So
before in my life.
is this your first dog?
No.
Okay. Well, I was about to say, if you got a dog, dogs aren't cats. Cats are
Self-sufficient.
right. They're very self-sufficient. And when you put some litter down, they inherently know this is where I'm supposed to go and use the restroom.
Yeah, trust me. Me and the dog go out a lot.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
See, she had just why. Yeah, why? Just why? That's what she
Just
said.
why?
Just why? Sometimes you just gotta roll with it, Jesse.
Erica Leonard wants you to hold the puppy up.
I don't have. I'll get him. I'll get her later.
All right then, Mr. Lovejoy, it's on you, sir.
Hey man, it was a week. That's all I can tell you.
What? You didn't make that meal this week?
Came close to it, but we didn't do a meal this week. I got some other stuff going on. You guys are here about. I think y'all saw my post. I got some other stuff I'm working on. So yeah.
So when's
but other than that, man,
asked me what you asked me the other day, and I couldn't talk because I had got to work.
Did I handle that?
No, the question. I'm assuming the post you're talking about. We had a conversation yesterday. Not yesterday. Was it Friday morning or Thursday morning? And I had gotten to work and couldn't.
I talked to you about a couple of things. You're not talking about me being ignorant. That one, are you?
Not that. No, not that.
No, okay.
Hey, y'all.
Okay.
Y'all can't be talking about secret stuff on a public place.
Right,
It was a business. It sounded like the conversation was turning into a business proposition type thing.
Man.
Oh, that Mario. That. There's going to be a tour bus involved, 2022, and I'm going to. And I'll just go ahead and tell y'all. Y'all
gonna hear it first
on the four black guys. 2022, I'm going to give away $1 million, and I'm going to scour the country for entrepreneurs who are really hungry. They are pregnant with vision, but it's been aborted by lack. And I want to be the change agent in their lives. So next year, I'm giving away $1 million to see if we can help some of these entrepreneurs live their dreams. So, yeah.
So anybody that's watching, if you know an entrepreneur or you're going to start a business tomorrow, y'all better be about your business. Not you.
No, but I'm looking for a certain thing. Man, they got to be hungry, and you have to sell me on your vision and what you're doing. Like I got a cat right now. If I could have wrote this dude a check for $75,000, I would have on the spot. And so I just want to be a part of people's dreams coming to pass. So you will have to create an essay, or you will have to grab me on a certain day and wear me out in 30 seconds about what you're doing. That's the only way I'm financing it. And so that's what we're doing. $1 million.
You better plug yourself, Miss Erica Leonard.
What you say? I can't really see.
Scripps Embroidery Studio is hungry.
Oh.
which is doing well, believe it or not.
Okay. I want to hear it, man. I want to seriously. I'm so passionate about this, and I told the Holy Spirit the other morning that I want to be next year. I want to be in a position where it's not about me anymore, but I want to be a part of people's success in life. And so I'm going to do it, man. We're doing it. So we already started now. It's just next year we're just going to take it on the road, and I'm just going to randomly select some people and bless them, pay their house note for the next year, or do things like that. So it's coming, y'all. I'm serious about this. Yeah.
So Mac Bell, right quick, man, what is Bridging the Gap Community Service? Let us know what that is and see if there's something the 4 Black Guys can help with, because we love getting the word out about people's businesses, man. Because that's what that's what the platform is for, to help the community out. So let us know what Bridging the Gap Community Service is about. Point us to maybe a web page or a Facebook page. Okay. All right, guys, let's go on and let's dig into this, man. I know people have been waiting, man. You know, we kind of do our thing at the front of it, but I'm sure some people want to hear the topic, the church and homosexuality. Is the church attracting more homosexuals now? Is it producing more homosexuals now? And is the church ready for homosexuals besides in the music department? I said it. I'm gonna get in some trouble. So I'm gonna give this over to James Fred, but I'm gonna set it up because he and I were having a conversation one day. From the last thing we talked about was Dave Chappelle was the last thing we talked about, and how was he masterfully dealt with the trans community on his special. It was smart, it was intelligent, it was funny. And then it's got us, you know, he called me about the cancel culture, and he asked me a question, and I had to be honest with him. He said, since we canceling people, I think, who'd you ask me about? And we're gonna mention some names, guys. So please, if you get offended, we do apologize, but you know, these are the thoughts and opinions of the show, not of any company we might represent. Let me put that out there.
I was asking you about James Cleveland.
And he asked me about James Cleveland. It is well known within the gospel community that the grandfather or whatever he is in gospel, you know, they called it the Gospel Music Workshop of America, GMWA. They had a whole nother name for it, which was the Gay Men's Workshop of America, because that's where a lot of men hooked up in the Christendom. Why are you laughing, Mario? Because it's true. It's true. And
I never heard that before.
Oh,
so I was trying not to spit out my. I mean, I knew it was, but I never knew that acronym they had. You know.
So I mean, but like, right? Do we cancel James Cleveland, and do we cancel a lot of gospel, past and present gospel artists that we love and enjoy? Do we cancel them, and do they have a right to cancel? But let's just go back to this. I'm gonna let you set it up. Maybe I said too much, James. You should have told me to shut up. But I'm gonna let you finish this setup.
No, it was interesting because honestly, and I didn't come across this until I was doing some reading, and because honestly, I never knew any of that about James Cleveland. I didn't. Like I didn't know. And so when I ran up on that, it hit me that I never heard, as far as the culture goes, anybody down talk James Cleveland. And like my mother loved him. My aunts and uncles, they listened to him, and it was. I didn't know any of this stuff had happened. Mm-hmm. And like you said, this organization, apparently it was, gay men were coming there for the purpose of hooking up sexually.
But also to serve the purpose of the gospel music industry. It did help the gospel music. It did what's the word I want? Put on stage some of the now famous gospel people we enjoy now.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so the question I had was just simply like, we canceling people left and right nowadays for making statements. Mm-hmm. And here we had a man who we all loved his music, but had some pretty jacked up ways. And not just by him just being gay, but there were allegations of him abusing young boys. So it's like we picking and choosing during this time on who we're going to cancel. But that just raised the question for me. Because like you said, Stephen, especially in the music departments of a lot of churches, you see a lot of gay men. And I know people don't want to admit that, but it's just what you see. So I just had the question. Well, actually, I asked the question because I'm going to put this back on Steve.
Jeez.
I asked the question, why were gay men attracted to the church? Steve Myers said,
Wow.
are they attracted to the church or is the church creating them? That made it a whole nother conversation.
So that's how this came about.
That's how this came about. Now,
Right.
I want to explain my position because at one point it seemed like during the 80s and the 90s, a lot, and I can say that for even these churches here in Birmingham, man, we had organists in this city that was bad organists, but full regalia of hair, nails,
Makeup.
coats, makeup, high heels. I mean, it seems like during the 80s and the 90s that the church was, I mean, every talented musician was gay. And it seems like that a lot of these, and I'm gonna be open and honest with you. I had a conversation with a couple musicians that had gone to GMWA and got firsthand accounts. And I'm not going to mention any famous people. I'm trying not to mention any famous people names. Pushed up on this brother back in the 80s and the 90s when he went to GMWA. They pushed up on him, and and he told them he wasn't that way, and they disregarded him. But it seems like a lot of times the church had at times was creating this, whether it be some preachers doing it, as we've come to find out. Some preachers have been diddling little boys and little girls. Even here in this city, we found that out here recently. That the taking of innocence has happened in the church.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of why I brought up that other side of that. So let's deal with the first question. Is the church attracting gay men? What are your thoughts? Or I should just say homosexuals, because we have men and women and trans all are now looking for something, whether it be in the church or not, but they're coming. So let's go from there. Go. You had your finger up a couple times.
Yeah, I have to go back to the James Cleveland thing if that was just something we threw out as a caveat. But let's start with your question first. Is the church attracting gay people, or is it creating them? I think the church has always been somewhat of a safe haven for gay people. And I'm not just going to say men and women, but we are more apt to see the men in this situation, not knowing that sister such and such was gay too. You know what I'm saying? When I that first dawned on me in the 90s, I was like, oh, it's lesbians in church too. But I think church and if church has always been that place where, and I can't say for what reason, but
Well, it should be.
Huh?
If you think about it, they should be able to
come as you are.
Mm-hmm.
Come as you are. We'll work on you when you get here. You know what I'm saying? But I'm trying to choose my words carefully, because I have dear friends that I've had for years that are gay, and I don't want to come across as homo, and they know I'm not homophobic, but I don't want to be disrespectful in how I'm saying what I'm saying. So I'm choosing my words carefully if it takes me a minute to get this out, because my friendships with my friends that I know who are openly gay, those are good friends, and I don't want to mess that up. But at any rate, if you say you want to cancel homosexuals in church, and I'm tying James Cleveland into this, you can just erase gospel music for the last 60 years.
Right?
No, 60 years.
60 years, okay.
50 years. Because even during the civil rights movement, some of those people that was creating that music out of that era were gay men. I played at my first church I ever played at in Montgomery. The minister of music and the director were both gay. Old gays. You understand what I'm saying? So it ain't just it ain't just got here.
Right. It's been around.
So some of the people that I'm talking about knows it used to be a guy that was a director at 23rd Street in Ensley, 23rd Street Baptist, created music for the civil rights movement. Some of the songs we sing came from his pen. Gay man. You understand what I'm saying? So if you're going to cancel a homosexual in the church, then you have, like I said, you have just wiped out church music for the last 60 plus years.
Well, I don't think it's the homosexual part. I think it's the part where we have like this R. Kelly type situation. You see what I'm saying? Because as we know with R. Kelly in his situation with young women, there are some church, and we can look at the Catholic Church for this, of how they really messed up a lot of young people.
Young people, right?
And so
everyone should be held accountable for their actions in that regard.
And so I think that's the lens, not necessarily that he was gay, but the lens of him and some other church people, other pastors, bringing in young people into their fold, and and maybe doing something they weren't supposed to do, and redirecting their whole life that way because they couldn't keep under wraps their indiscretions or their desires.
James, if you never knew about James Cleveland and all of that, but once I got behind the scenes of music in church, and this was in the early 90s when I started playing in church and playing bass in church. You heard the stories. You know what I'm saying? So I've been hearing it for years. If you were a musician in church, you heard the stories, especially if you were at a prestigious church where they sent their musicians to the Gospel Music Workshop of America. They came back, you heard the stories, blah, blah, blah. I've never been, but I've heard stories. I heard stories even back then, but going to James Cleveland, like you said, I don't know when you found out, but this was information that I was privy to.
Steve, when did we talk about it? A couple weeks
ago.
Oh,
really?
A couple weeks ago.
So you mean like right now, years old?
I didn't know, man. You see, my real church experiences didn't really start until 2001. Okay. So I'm in the game late.
Gotcha.
Now, of course, my mama, took us to church as kids, but I wasn't, I ain't pay attention to that stuff.
Right.
But so I didn't, like I say, I didn't know nothing. I knew James Cleveland's music, loved the music, but I never heard anybody talk about this other stuff. And it intrigued me because I think, like Steve said, the issue isn't the homosexuality. I mean, everybody's welcome at church. I think the issue is the predatory actions that some of these people are taking.
Right.
Like James Cleveland, like I say, had been accused of not just having homosexual relationships, but bringing in young boys and abusing the boys. And like Steve said, we had the issue with a prominent preacher in town here. And it's on the news, Bishop Wren.
Right.
With the same thing. So it's like, and we don't know the whole story about Bishop Wren's case yet and all that, but it seems to be becoming very, very common that this is happening. Not just the homosexual behavior, but the predatory behavior that it seems to be becoming dominant in these churches. And so that's why when Steve asked the question, is the church creating this? It blew my mind.
Watch this. I think let me say it like this. You said, is it creating? I think church can be a safe haven for, and once it becomes that safe haven, well, birds of a feather flock together. Okay. So with that being said, example, you remember the church we played for in Atlanta? How many years ago was this?
Metro Church.
Yeah. Short story. Overflow was booked for a men's day program at a church in Atlanta. And I'm gonna try to make this part of it very short. But we got booked for it, the men's day program. They put us up in a hotel, and we came, and they met us the night before, and I guess they were getting a feel for us. We were getting a feel for the two people that were representing. Thought nothing about it. When we got there the next day, people started coming in, and we just noticed that it was a lot of feminine dudes. You know what I'm saying? We saw one or two gay dudes, and okay, cool, it's church. You're always gonna see a couple of gay dudes. You know what I'm saying? But by the time the choir stand got full, we realized that pretty much everything in the choir stand was a homosexual male. Well, for a bunch of Alabama boys in there, we in our
Yeah, mid
late,
20s,
late,
late.
yeah, mid to late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
That was a shocker for us because we had not seen that on that scale before. So it was a shocker. And then as we turned around and started looking in the congregation, well, we noticed transgender people, male and female. And we was like, oh, okay. So it took us by surprise that this whole church was a gay and lesbian, transgender, LGBTQ now, as we call it.
Right,
That
church.
term didn't exist then. That's what this church was.
We're the first man. There was a first man.
And that, wow. So with that being said, using that example, that's a church that created an atmosphere that in turn attracted more and more and more and more. Now you have a complete church of LGBTQ church. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
From my understanding, what's the Hawkins, the light-skinned Hawkins?
They was all light skinned, but I got you.
No, they
Edwin.
wasn't. No, they wasn't. No, wasn't. The Edwin.
Edwin. I
I
think it
think
was
that's
Edwin.
him. Okay. He started a church.
Edwin
And
or
his
Walter. Either one of them. Go ahead.
Walter.
Walter.
It was
Okay.
Walter. He started the church, and that church, like I said, this was before the whole LGBTQ thing. It was a gay church. You know what I'm saying? So once again, like I said, birds of a feather will flock together because that's what they feel comfortable with. You know what I'm saying? And now we're in an age where, let's say, if brother so and so and sister so and so now have a little son, and they growing up in church, and they stay in church, and they stay in church culture, he might not be gay, but if that's what he's immersed in, he might start picking up feminine tendencies. You understand what I'm saying? Because if we always at church and he's always surrounded by, and this is what he sees, I've seen it happen for
Yeah.
myself.
I
I've
had a
seen it
friend.
happen.
I had a
Go ahead.
friend, and I'm gonna let Lovejoy go because I'm sure he's about to bust over there. I've had a friend. I had a friend who said he wasn't gay, but he was very feminine because he grew up in church. And I'm
Right.
not saying that church made him feminine. I'm just saying he grew up with a bunch of women,
Mm-hmm.
and that's his whole life. And he was very feminine, but he was the one that had me start going to church, and that's when I started going to church, and I became saved and went through the whole thing. So we're not saying that being gay is bad. So don't even y'all
Right.
relax,
Right.
calm down.
That's that.
We're
Hey.
just asking questions that people have, you know what I mean? So
Mhm.
Lovejoy, do you have any kind of input on, what's up with the church? Is it attracting more gay homosexual people? Is it creating more homosexual people? And here's the last one: is the church ready, as we know it right now, for, I know you got something to say on this, is the church ready for the homosexual to come in and be a part? Now let me preface this before you go. Let me preface this, because the black church, and I'll put it like this: the black church has always had some form of a homosexual in its service, whether it's a musician, whether it's a singer, whether it's an undercover down low pastor. It's always been there. It has always been there. Y'all froze up on me. There you go. All right, now you're back. But Lovejoy, let's continue this conversation, man. And those who are watching, I'm sure y'all got some questions. Mike got a question here, and we can hit on this in a minute. What's y'all opinion on gays in the church and the Bible saying it's abomination? I'm sure Lovejoy's gonna have something to say about this. Lovejoy, you've been quiet in this conversation, sir. Your turn.
I mean, quiet as a church
Church
mouse.
mouse. And it's the church mouse. No, I'm just kidding.
Is the church
I
mouse
thought the
gay?
same thing, Steve. I was thinking the exact same thing. Is the church mouse squeak squeak? Is that what you was going to say? See,
So
I was
let me tie the church mouse into this conversation.
All right.
This has been the homosexual culture. Notice the terms I'm using. This homosexual culture has been a part of the church since the church started.
Mm.
So to ask the question, did we create it? Absolutely not. It was part of the church culture when buildings became a part of the church culture.
Mm.
When Constantine incorporated the church and church became part of the mainstream, homosexuals were part of the church. How do you know, Anthony Lovejoy? Let's just go back to the life of Jonathan and David. We seem to think that they were joined together as brothers. And in actuality, if you do your study, David was the lover of Jonathan.
We finna get in trouble.
No, you ain't. Not if you
Come
speaking
on,
truth.
man.
You speaking truth. Truth is truth. Let's get it. Let's get it.
Hey, come on, but
David
now, let's
talked-
be honest.
David talked.
Let's be honest.
David talked.
Let's be honest. When we've all read the scripture, and I'm sure Lovejoy's gonna get it. You know what I'm saying? About them laying his head on his chest, and when we saw that in the Bible, that was kind of skipped over. But we all
And also he alluded to that David got an erection when he laid his head on his chest. We don't want to talk about those things, but yet we're making a big deal out of it. And when, as we move on up in the first century church, the universal church, which is also called the Catholic Church, when we were doing what we call the underflow, UNDERFLOOR, the underflow of the priest who was not allowed to marry, taking little boys under the floor or the subfloor of the Catholic Church, abusing them. And thus now it's just coming out within the last 10 years that there were children being molested and taken advantage of by clergy. We're not even talking about musicians yet.
right.
We're talking about the clergy. So it has been a part of the church culture. The homosexual culture has been a part of the church culture since its inception. Is it going anywhere? Absolutely not. I think what we have done is we have covered or tried to cover, because we use scriptures like it's an abomination. That's not what the Bible says. And you cannot use Leviticus 18 as your premise to establish the homosexual community. You cannot do it. You can't do it. So what do we do now? Well, if you decide to counsel every musician, you might as well go ahead and shut down your whole music department and become like the Church of Christ. Don't have musicians, because everything that we sing seems to have come from the pen of a gay person.
Gay man.
Mm-hmm.
Now, isn't it interesting that these are some of the most anointed songs that we sing in our churches?
Mm-hmm.
But yet we criticize them and not give credit to the call and the anointing that's on their life. And we want to deal with their lifestyle. Here's why. Because you can see that outwardly, but we never say anything about Deacon Johnson sleeping with Mother Kathy over there.
Mm.
Mm.
So I'm at a point now, and I told you guys, and I'm an apologist, I'm a defender of the faith. If we're going to talk about certain things, let's talk about the hypocrisy that comes along with that. Okay, and I get into my story. It was 1990. I came up in a church, and I'm not holding back tonight, guys. That's why I was quiet.
Ooh.
Go ahead.
Ooh.
I came up in a church. Steve, I already know I'm about to go with this one.
Yes,
I came up in a church, watch this, that was started by a gay man. And most people don't know the history of More Than Conquerors Faith Church.
Oh, Lord.
More Than Conquerors
Oh,
Faith Church
Jesus.
Okay. Y'all sure y'all ready for this?
Oh,
Go ahead, man. Go
none of your
ahead.
business, Playboy. Let me sit back. Hold on, let me get comfortable.
More Than Conquerors Faith Church was not started by Bishop or Apostle Steve Green.
No, it wasn't.
It was started
No, it was
by
not.
Dwayne Davis
Yep.
on Tuscaloosa Avenue
Echoes
in
of
West
Faith.
End.
Choir.
He started the church and he got caught up in some homosexual act. The then More Than Conquerors Church that we knew then was then transferred over to Derek Houston. It was then transferred over because the call was on Steve Green.
Mm.
And as we moved to Woodland Avenue, 1901 Woodland Avenue, that's when you start seeing the emerge of a bunch of homosexuals. Okay, here we go. I came up because there was the absence of a father in my life, and I get emotional still talking about this. There was the absence of a father in my life, no male figure. So I longed for the love of a father. The homosexual community, boom, target me.
Mm.
Let's not play with this. They target me. And because they were buying me clothes, they were feeding me. They were showing a love that I'd never seen. And because it was a male figure, I thought it was genuine love.
Mm.
To the point where the night that they was going to take me in and indoctrinate me, we was on our way to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I'll never forget it. We was on our way to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, preaching at church. And that night, they said that they would go ahead and bring me over into the homosexual community. Me being naive and not knowing anything about this world, that was the night Derek Houston snatched my britches and said, no, you get in the car with me. That's how my relationship started with Pastor Derek Houston.
Wow.
It's because the homosexual community was going to convert me, was going to listen to this word, was going to create another one.
Mm.
Now watch this. I've grown since then. There has been a deconstruct of my current theological construct as it relates to homosexuals in the church. And if we're going to play this game, if we're going to start targeting homosexuality in the church, then you need to sit every fucking person down that's in the church, that's kneeling at that damn brown chair, whining and moaning at the altar. You need to sit his ass down because he's just as wrong as the other person that we call him gay or homosexual. Do I believe you born gay? I believe it. Challenge my theology. Because of the Adamic fall, everything enters the world. We got women who are birthed with penises. They are birthed lying. Have you taught your child how to lie? Strangely enough, at 2 years old, 4 years old, they know how to lie, don't they?
They sure do.
So why is it so hard for us to believe that a person can be born and not understand who they are as a person? Challenge my theology.
Yes, a person can be. I agree with you on that fact, but at the same time,
Were y'all ready for that, Mario?
like
Because
you just
I wasn't
said.
sure because I just called some names.
Yeah, I wasn't ready for the name calling, but go ahead.
Okay.
It is what it is. But I agree with you on the other side of too. You can create that. You understand what I'm saying? That can be created.
Right. And now, and you know, going back to, I mean, thank you, Lovejoy. That was enlightening on some part.
For sharing.
Yeah. But that's why I went back to your question, James. When you asked me that question, is the homosexuality, is the church attracting homosexuals or is it creating? And my thoughts were that the church does create a lot of homosexual based on the information of the Catholic Church. And back to Lovejoy, man. I mean, dude, I was in that, you know, I played for that church. I've heard the stories of how More Than Conquer was created. I was never stepped to, thank the Lord. But you know, I've seen it. I've seen homosexuals create that, and it's enlightening, Lovejoy, what you told us about the creation. But Jane Fred, do you have anything?
Yeah, it's interesting that y'all have some of that firsthand knowledge because I moved here in '96, and More Than Conquerors was still on Tuscaloosa Avenue then. And I can remember going there. My first wife went first, and then I went there a couple of times with her. And I can remember some people that I worked with when I was telling them the church, that we had been and visit and everything, and all the stories that just came out of it. It was nothing but homosexual stuff. And I didn't. Those were the only 2 times that I'd ever been to the church. Never been back, whatever. But it was interesting that a lot of those stories that I heard back then now kind of make sense that Lovejoy just said what he said. Because a lot of it had to do with that. There were a couple of stories I heard of them trying to, I guess for lack of a better word, lure younger men who didn't have father figures. Right. Excuse me. And it's just crazy. But I think again, man, it goes back to that predatory, the predatory actions of people in the church. Not the homosexuality. I mean,
no,
you do what you
do. James, let me interrupt you. And let me be clear about this. That is not what I'm saying, that it's just the homosexual. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying there are people in our local assemblies who are predators.
Yep.
Right. Has nothing to do with homosexuality.
They are just predators by nature, regardless of their sexual orientation.
It's nature regardless.
Right.
Exactly right. Right, Mario. And then what we do is, the thing has been is to cover it.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
The Roman Catholic Church. Mm-hmm. Even in our Black local church, the thing is to cover it. Mm-hmm. At one point, remember, it left from the homosexual community and went to the pastor who was sleeping with everybody. Right. Then it moved back to the homosexual community. Mm. And we found out then that the preacher who could hoop you under the bench was also practicing homosexuality.
Okay.
We found that out. And so now, watch this. And so we gave a pass to the act of all of this. And so now we just turn a blind eye, or maybe there has been some kind of epiphany with people and just say, okay, they are who they are.
Okay. Watch this. Okay. So watch this. Do we also cancel the preacher or the person in church that's not gay, but he's one of the biggest hoes you'll ever see in church?
Good question. I was gonna say that. I mean, if we're gonna put it out here, let's just be fair, because Mario, Lovejoy, we know.
Yes,
we know some pastors that has slept with sister so and so
and sister so and so and sister
so and so's daughter. You know what I'm saying?
Had them both. You hear me?
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, not only should, I mean, if we're talking about counseling and I'm trying to say my words carefully, but I think I'm kind of with Lovejoy on this. The predatory nature of power and position in the church.
That's exactly what it's called, Steve.
Is a dangerous thing left unchecked. And you're right, because let me tell you this, we are the most, Black people, I'm talking about us, are the most forgiving people in some things, especially when it comes to the white man, but I'm not going to that right now. But we are the most forgiving. And we slide a lot of stuff, man. If you can hoop good enough, it don't matter that you slept with such a sister so-and-so. You know what I'm saying? If you preach good enough, if you sing good enough, if you play good enough, we extend a whole bunch of grace.
We do.
A whole bunch of grace.
We do.
And don't get it twisted. Being a musician in church, especially in those younger years, and we had this conversation just last night with a singer. Women are attracted to men who play instruments or who are in a position of authority in church.
Yes.
and
Yes.
you know, say what you want to say. I've had it thrown at me from women that were old enough to be my mom coming up.
Yes.
You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? I
Yes.
mean, so we had this conversation just last night with somebody on the gig that we were talking about,
Yeah.
and so
But here's the problem, though, Mario. The preacher man gets the pass
mhm,
because you didn't see him as Sister Doodad house humping her. We want to be
mm,
hypocritical because we see a guy who's effeminate directing the choir,
mhm,
bad as hell. And
mhm.
so, watch this. When it's something that does not look like me, I'm offended.
Mario about to get in trouble.
I'm not about to get in trouble because I'm not saying anything has happened since she and I have been together.
Okay.
But it's the truth, though, right? It's the truth.
It's the truth.
It's
Yeah,
reality, and
it's
this is
reality.
exactly what happens. This is what I'm talking about. And so we dare not talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And Mario, all you're doing is putting it out there and say, this is what normally happens.
Mm-hmm.
I preached on stages where the woman sits on the front row with no panties on.
Come on, preacher.
Mhm.
Or and whoever was a part of TLC, they will tell you this. You did not touch me right after I was done preaching.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm still open. And
Right.
so a woman comes up and she caresses me in the small of my back. I'm vulnerable. Guess what I'm thinking about doing next? Come on, guys, let's be real. And
Come
so
on.
this is stuff that don't talk about. This
Right.
is the stuff that they're talking about. We want to hop on the gays and he's up there switching and stuff like that. But what about the fucking preacher who's sleeping with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
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 What about the one who takes, here's a predatory act, Steve. What about the one who takes advantage of the woman who needs somebody to love her and she had a hard childhood and he's like a wolf salivating at the mouth because he can sense her vulnerability. What's the difference, man?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
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 What's the difference in the guy that's been a social outcast, but he finds people who just so happen to be gay in church and they latch on to him and make him feel at home.
That was me.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So he wasn't gay, he was a social outcast, might have been a bit of a nerd or whatever. But that community showed him love.
Mm-hmm.
You know
And
what I'm saying?
acceptance.
They
And
accepted
they
him.
welcomed him
They
into
welcomed him in. Now all of a sudden
That changed the whole trajectory of his life.
of his life.
absolutely.
I've seen it with my own eyes.
So this didn't just start, guys. This didn't just start. What we're doing is we're bringing light to it, and I'm so thankful that the Four Black Guys are doing this. We're bringing light to a question that is taboo in the local church,
Yes.
the Black church. Let me say, hey man, get off them. E. Dewey Smith talks
Dewey
about
Smith.
this all the time.
Mhm.
Mm.
He talks about this all the time. So stop singing their songs. If you're gonna criticize them, start singing their songs. And I'll take this step further. Hey preacher man, if you're gonna speak about this across the pulpit and you're gonna belittle them,
Mhm.
sit your country ass down with your gaiters on because you just came out of somebody's booty last night.
Mm.
Get the fuck out of here talking to you about that.
Alrighty then.
Lovejoy that got upset.
I mean,
I'm-
touched the
Well,
nerve,
I
didn't he?
mean, this is
Dude, this
Touched
is
the
this is one
nerve.
of them things
Yeah.
that's why the church cannot be the church, and the church is not effective because we rather spend our time on talking about things that don't matter.
Mm.
And we rather sit somebody down because they are openly gay. We don't want them serving in all that bullshit. We don't want them serving in leadership because they're openly gay. But you out here, you done drank the fifth last night, and then you drunk a fifth, and then went over such and such house, and she done sucked you off. Now you're gonna come in the pulpit and preach that foolishness, and then we want to start casting judgment on folks. Man, I'm telling you, get the fuck out of here with that with me. Because the last thing you want to do is when you stand before God, according to the epistle, or when you stand before God, He's gonna say, "Hey, did you do what I told you to do? And did you lead my sheep to greener pastures?" And the only thing you got is an agenda, and you want to set somebody down because of their lifestyle. And don't try to use scripture with me because none of it talks about homosexuality. Prove me wrong.
All right, you got a challenge there from Lovejoy. Y'all direct all that to him.
All that smoke right there.
Right there. Y'all give
I
all
want
that.
every last. I want it all.
So we've been talking about the church and homosexuality. Is it attracting more homosexuals? Is it creating homosexuals? And here's the last question in our last few minutes. Is the church really prepared to take on homosexuality? And we've been talking about for the past 10 minutes the indiscretions of pastors, and I'm kind of like Lovejoy, man. If we're gonna talk about one thing, let's talk about the other, but let's also talk about the predatory the predatoriness of people in the congregation, because there are people that go after men, women, musicians, pastors with an agenda. You do have your Delilahs in the church. Can I be real, right?
Yes,
Like
you do. You do.
Right. Like Mario, you said, we are musicians, so we get approached immediately. You know what I mean? We get approached. And some
after
of those
a high service.
After high service. And there are Delilahs. Come on, I'm being real. We gotta be, if the pastor's gonna get it, if the gay is gonna get it, the congregation, the laity has to get it also. There are some predatory folks in the congregation that go after these men and women.
Gospel groupies are what I call them.
That's exactly what they are.
They are gospel groupies. I'm telling you, they exist.
So I mean, so when I first started training to be a minister, way back when I got saved in Church of God in Christ, I mean, my pastor told me. I remember he pulled me to the side and was like, hey man, from the first time you step out on that pulpit and say a word, you're gonna have some problems that you're gonna have to deal with. And you are going to have to fight through that. And it was rough for me when I first started because I was single. That was when me and my first wife separated. So she left, went back to Michigan, and now I'm here by myself. And it amazed me how, like, I'm a young preacher at this time. Like, I ain't even been doing it for real. And here are older women all of a sudden coming at me left. And I'm like, but y'all, what y'all doing? I don't have no power. I don't have no position. You know what I'm saying? I was the sound guy.
The stage is the position, brother.
I didn't get it.
Can I be honest with you? You might not even say the good two words, but just because you are on the stage,
on an elevated platform,
they will come. They will come for you.
Yep, that is it.
It was amazing, man. It's like I say, it was like I say, this was my first real church go at it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, wait a minute, now there's more holes in here than it is when I was at the club a couple months ago. So what y'all? I'm just saying. I mean, I'm being real. It's like, I mean, I got women leaving me notes and all this kind of crazy stuff, and it's like, I went to my pastor and was like, "Hey, man, how am I supposed to deal with this?"
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Brother, strength and stay away."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. How'd that work out for you?
I was Lovejoy then because I was newly saved and I was super saved. I didn't do nothing but just send everybody to hell. So that, seriously, that's what I did. Everybody, I sent everybody to hell. You know, you leave me a crazy letter, lady, you going to hell. You going straight to hell. You know. As I got older, then it changed a little bit and it became a little bit harder. But I still was able to keep my composure. And I've always had a philosophy is you don't put yourself in crazy situations. I'm not coming to your house to pray for you. We're not going to be alone at all because honestly, it's rough at that time for me to say no. Like, you know, because if I come pray for you and you get naked, then we finna tear a few holes in the wall.
Oh. Not
right after we pray about it.
Oh,
I would, hey man, I'll be the first to say it's something about standing behind or sitting behind an instrument or holding the microphone in your hand. It is something about it. Can't say what it is. Don't know. Well, I have some theories, but I had to come home even last night, and I called my wife. I said, "Hey, don't worry about it. If you ain't checking for me, somebody else is." You get a good laugh about that.
Jesus
hey,
Christ.
But hey, it's the truth though. And I'm glad you said it because last night, and this is the part I want to talk about as we transition, man. There are Delilahs out here coming for you. No sooner than we got finished gigging last night. Can I tell the story, Mario?
Yes, go ahead.
No, I mean me and Mario outside chilling, kind of going over the night's gig, and this lady comes out checking Mario for another lady. You know what I'm saying? You know, checking Mario for another lady. Asked this lady to check on Mario. We just finished gigging.
Wait. Check on them how? What do you mean?
Trying to see if he
see
was
here
married.
go Lovejoy.
Wanted to see if I was married. You know what you're talking about. See, Lovejoy, there you go. You trying to be messy.
So, I thought you said you talked to your wife, bro.
I
see,
did.
see,
And
hey,
look, and then she putting on for the city.
Okay,
She putting on for the city.
See, but that's what I'm talking about, guys. That's what I'm talking about, though. If we gonna jump on the preacher, if we gonna jump on the musician, if we gonna jump on the singer, we gotta jump on the congregation.
And this was a church. This was a congregation, was it not?
It was.
Okay.
There are people out there. Come on. I know a lot. I know a lot of us. We shoot shots up at the preacher, but are you right though? Are you right though? You shooting at the preacher, but are you right?
But they don't. The congregation don't care about being right though.
But that's not the point though. If we gonna shoot shots, let's everybody get around.
We can shoot the shots, but you got to remember when it comes to the preacher, they're held at a higher standard.
Understandable because of the platform. I get it.
So
I'm just an equal opportunity.
Excuse me.
Okay.
You see it, Erica. You see it. Don't play with it. You see it. You know what's up. Talking about checking.
I'm not gonna be petty tonight. I'm just gonna be quiet. I'll sit over here.
She said you is married and you will like it. Yes, ma'am.
Even the deacon Mac Bell. Because I mean, there's something that man. If the stories that me, Mario, and Lovejoy could tell, because we've all been to the same churches.
Yes.
Just the
most of the churches that we have played for in the earlier part of our playing career all stemmed out of one church.
One church. Yeah.
Most of the ministries that we played for in those early years in our 20s all stemmed out of one church. So we could tell.
By the way, it's the church that I was the biggest hole in.
Yes, he was. I mean, no, I didn't say that.
Hey, I can admit it, man.
You was young. You was young.
And whereas you sent them to hell, James Fred, I sent them my address.
See, I was trying to be good.
He sent them to Euphoria.
And
sir.
you know,
He said, "Yes, sir."
That
Yes,
dude
sir.
said euphoria.
Hey,
Easy.
but here's the thing again, guys. I just wish the church, the church is the only institute that has not changed or not adjusted or adapt to change.
But they
The
don't want
only
to.
Hold
they don't want
on.
to.
Go into more detail with that because I don't know if I 100% agree. Go ahead. I want to make sure before I say I disagree. Why? Why have they not?
I'll say this by saying this, Mario. Has the church been relevant in the last 20 years?
Ooh,
And have we affected change in our
woof,
community in the last 20 years?
woof.
No.
That's my answer. We've not changed. We're the
We
only
still we want
institution.
to keep things. The churches, when you hear pastors say things like, some churches have tried to bring Sunday school back. Sunday school kind of went away a little bit. Some churches are trying to bring it back, but these younger people aren't coming to Sunday school.
They ain't
They
even coming to
barely
church.
coming to
Yet.
church.
Right.
They ain't coming to church.
They barely coming to church.
They ain't coming to Sunday school. They just left the club, so they might make it to church to 11 o'clock service. So,
But
they're not
James,
getting them
that's
at
not even the
7:30.
story now. We used to say that back in the 90s. Now, okay, Mario, you know this to be true.
Mhm.
This generation and the millennial generation don't want to hear nothing you got to say because you keep preaching this sweet by and by message, but then there are injustice being done to their generation. And so they would tag themselves to a Black Lives Matter movement faster than they would to a church. Because we said the only thing y'all gonna do is preach about and hoop about it, spit and do fall down pews, and then you're not gonna do anything about the injustice of our people.
Mhm.
So they're not joining the church by the draws, despite what people are saying. The census has said that they are leaving the church every month by 2,500 people.
Jeez.
And pastorals are leaving ministries 1,500 at a time every month. So you tell me, is the church relevant or is the church still trying to operate with antiquated, archaic ideas?
Mm.
They gonna have a trunk or treat for the community, and that smooths everything
So
all out.
let me. I'm just playing the advocate here, Lovejoy. I'm not trying to come at you, but the argument is, do we lower God's standard just to have the people come in? Do we acquiesce to sin? Do we acquiesce to sin and not hold the bloodstained banner high?
And those are the cascaded answers that are giving when we ask that question. I'm not saying change the standard. However, our methodology has to change.
So that
you don't have to. The word forever, oh Lord, your word is settled. But no one is coming to a church. No one is going to come, especially this next generation, when you talk about the business, but you're not about the business. You don't have to change the word. The word is powerful, it's quick, it'll do what it needs to do, but your method has to change.
So is the church, and this is the last question because we got to roll here, is the church ready to accept what's coming?
You ain't got to finish the question. No.
When you say accept what's coming,
Yeah, I mean, because like there's another, like Lovejoy said, there's a whole nother generation that, come on, let's be honest, man. Come on. Our kids are seeing this now. You got characters in cartoons that look feminine but have male voices, that look male and have female voices. You got cartoons that are, that have gay characters in it. You have Nickelodeon and Disney. Disney been doing it for years if you really been watching them for real.
They have.
They've been subtly. because now you got a generation that's been watching this since they were kids. I'm talking about my kids, right?
Mhm.
They've been watching this on Nickelodeon and YouTube and Disney. Their whole mindset is, it is what it is.
Right.
So now you got this generation coming up now.
Mm-hmm.
That are you going to be? Are we going to have the hells and damnation and are we going those messages? And
watch this.
Go ahead.
That whole facet of church has changed over the last 20. If you
Oh,
know,
no
it's not
gone.
a lot of fire and brimstone preachers anymore.
There's a few,
not a lot.
Not a lot. I'm
They
with
are
you.
the
I'm with you.
minority. They're the minority now.
But even the prospect, like, can we be honest? Because it got that fire and brimstone was replaced with prosperity.
Mm-hmm.
And then now it's moved over into self-help.
Right. That's where it is now.
You know,
and it's funny that the self-help is now becoming popular because now they're taking the power away from God and putting it on you.
Mm-hmm.
And saying in the church now you what you got to do is you got to help yourself. And so with that type of preaching, I think will actually go along with what's coming.
Come on, James.
You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because like you said, our kids are coming up and it's whatever. I'm gay, I'm lesbian, I'm trans, I'm non-binary, I'm them, I'm he, I'm us, I'm all of that. You know what I'm saying? And with this self-help type stuff, man, it's gonna cater to that. So I think what we're gonna lose is what the church is gonna end up becoming even more watered down than it is.
Boom. Boom. I was gonna say it like this. There will always be a church that can cater to what's happening in the world. There will always be and I said it like I meant it. I don't know no other way to say it. There'll always be a church that'll be dedicated to what's happening on the outside. All of that stuff that James just said. There'll be a church to rationalize it and cater to it.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, like Walter Hawkins had the Love Center, and that's what it was catered to. Like you mentioned, I heard it on the radio the other day, was that the Love Center was created for the disenfranchised, the homosexuals, and the blah blah blah.
Right.
So, all right.
Can't leave like that.
I was gonna ask you what. Come on, man.
So Mario, let me push back a little bit.
Go ahead, push.
So what was the purpose of Jesus when he came?
Wait a minute, say that again.
What was the purpose of Jesus when he came?
When he came, Luke chapter 4. What was his purpose?
You tell me.
Jesus was always on the side of the marginalized,
of the disenfranchised,
the indigent. He was always on the side. What's his message to church folks?
No.
When we look at scriptures, who was he always hanging out with?
He was always hanging out with the people that
them hood niggas.
The hood, right? The people he should not be hanging out with, the degenerates, so to speak.
Did he water down himself, or did he go into their world to win them?
Good job, Lovejoy.
That was good. But I always say he was all things to all men.
That he may win how many?
But we're not talking about Jesus. We're talking about that.
But yes, we are.
No.
We are.
We're talking about
in relative terms, James. Yes, we are, because we depict Jesus as the soon coming King who's coming for his bride without spot, wrinkle, or blemish.
Right.
Who is that? The church. So yes, we are talking about
the church is nowhere near that point.
So we ain't got to worry about them coming back. And I ain't trying to get into that, but we ain't got to worry about them coming back right now because the church is not there.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I mean, I get what you're saying, and you're right. What I'm saying is, as it stands right now, the church isn't there. So you don't have them simply going out, being on the side of the marginalized people. They're not doing that. They're just accepting, for one, because if I can get this group of people in the church, that's tithes, that's offerings, that's a lot of stuff that's going to contribute. And when they get there, they're not going to get the actual word. They're going to get that self-help stuff.
Okay, we can leave on this note, Steve, or you can elaborate, Mario. During the pandemic, we saw how selfish the local church was. We had a pandemic, and there were still preachers who were serving their interests by still having church because they did not want the tithes and offerings or the lights to get turned out. So was they serving the interest of Jesus and his mission, or were they serving their own interest? And so what you did was, here's full circle. What you did was you call the white person back in because he was good for business. And the music was top notch, but he was gay. You call him back in because we knew if gay such and such Sylvester was on the stage, that the music was going to be popping. And that's what drew the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about him being a homosexual, but he's good for business.
Mm-hmm.
Our numbers are up. So what are we going to do, fellas? Are we going to be hypocritical and talk about them being an abomination? Or are we going to talk about serving our self-interest? I'm just saying, if we're going to do it, let's just lay everything on the table and let's start dealing with everything. But we're not ready to do that yet. Okay.
Good conversation, guys. I think it was a good conversation.
That'll be another hour. If we,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, final thoughts right quick, guys, as we wrap up, man. I don't want to thank, hey, guys, if you guys coming in late, you need to go back and watch the rerun of the show. I think it's been a great conversation. I think it's a conversation that needs to be had with the church. I think it needs to be had with the members of the church, from the pastor on down to the person who cleans out the toilet. Mr. James Fred, any last thoughts, sir?
Nothing major, man. I think this was a good conversation. I think it's one of those conversations that is one of those never-ending conversations.
Yeah.
I mean, you can have this conversation for hours and hours, and it'll just keep going. So, I think we need to do another one like this, and kind of deal with every aspect of some of the issues that the church deals with on a day-to-day basis.
Mario?
Great conversation, guys. Thanks for putting my business out there, Steve. I appreciate it.
No, you said you had talked. No, you said go ahead, because I asked you, and you said go ahead. It's not my fault.
It was for the show. A sacrifice for the show. But that was it, man. Great conversation, man. Brought out some great, very interesting points. That's it.
Okay. Lovejoy.
So to all my conservative Christians out there, which is an oxymoron to me, to all of you white evangelicals who seem to want me to serve this painting that you have on your wall inside of your establishment, go do me a favor. Go do your history and go do your research. To that fella that has a real pretty long wave of hair that you want me to worship, he's actually gay.
Do your homework to
find out. Do your homework.
Find out who he is.
Find out who he is, who he's paid by. Mm-hmm. Where did the picture come from?
Where did the picture? Come on, Steve. Come on. Okay.
All right. That ain't Jesus.
That's somebody. Never mind.
He may be calling Jesus when him and Liv. Okay.
Come on.
Okay, I'll leave.
All right,
into the Bible that you read and you want us to live by, called the King James Version. Let's go do your research and see if he was gay or not.
All right, y'all. Another wonderful show
from his inception.
Man, I think my final thought is I think it was a great conversation, guys. I think that we need to have these conversations. I think that there are a lot of people find no fault with the church, and I believe that is unhealthy for the church. If you're going to deal with it and be whole, you got to deal with your situations. You got to deal with your indiscretions, and you got to deal with your desires. And I think every person, including the church, because it is a body, that it needs to be dealt with and dealt with openly sometimes. All right, guys, put your fours up. Want to thank y'all for coming on tonight. We're going to hit it again next week, same time, same channel. Y'all have a good one. Have a great week. All right, peace.